Okay, Metaverse, word that is well used nowadays. It expect will have an important impact on society, allow us to do things better, more efficiently. Like everything new, it will also contain some dangers, but it's clear that if we want to make this happen, we need a standard. Everybody agrees that we need standard, but the problem is that one of the problems is that what is a metaverse is not a shared notion, and the potential users of the metaverse are many, and they may have quite different requirements. And another point, when you start a standard, ideally you should start from a place where industry has not been engaged in anything, but here we have quite a few very successful implementations of metaverse, and asking them to discontinue their own view of the metaverse is not going to happen. And another, probably the most important issue is that there are some key technology that may happen in the future. Therefore, we need to agree on how to tackle metaverse standardization, because everybody wants it, but we should not necessarily agree what the metaverse is, because that is not something that is feasible today. We should not disenfranchise potential users. We said there are many users, and we shouldn't say that, okay, that community is not going to be served. That's not possible. We should not alienate existing initiative. I mean, these people are in the business already. They should not be alienated. And we should not necessarily deal with technology now, because dealing with technology, let me say this from my 3 decades plus of activity in standardization, it is a difficult job. So we have in MPAI developed a roadmap to develop metaverse interoperability. So the first is to build the metaverse terminology. This we have done. And we have agreed on basic assumptions we have done. We have collected metaverse functionalities. These 3 points are in the document that was published in January. And now we are developing functionality profiles, almost done, because the document is public, but will formally adopt it only in 3 weeks from now. Then we will develop a metaverse architecture. And then we'll develop functional requirements of the metaverse architecture data types. I repeat, functional requirements, not standards. And then develop a table of content of common metaverse specification, and map the technology to the table of content of the common metaverse specification. So let me go into item 4, because there is no agreement on what the metaverse is, that we have said, and what it should be. So therefore, if someone needs a particular functionality for their version of the metaverse, we should not say no, we should accept it. We should record it, because the fact that something is accepted does not need that any future metaverse instance shall support it. And so the solution is a solution that has been adopted for many years in many cases in the digital media standardization, is the notion of profile. A profile is a set of 1 or more base standards. And in case this is more complicated, subsets of the standard that are necessary for accomplishing a particular function. So, as we have said, we don't have technology. We don't have all the technologies. And for those that we don't have, either it will take more time, or there are already many candidates, so it's hard to make a choice. So let's develop functionality profiles, which is a set of functionalities that are offered by the Metaverse instance and not by the technology that implement them. So this is the basic point of my speech today. So what we have developed is technical report, MPAI Metaverse model, functionality profile. The previous one was just the functionalities. It collected all the functionalities. Now we are talking about functionality profiles. The simple table of contents of this new document is a Metaverse operation model and the basic technologies that enable the implementation of Metaverse profiles, which is actions, item, data types. Then we have use cases, and finally we have functionality profiles. So we have defined a first set of functionality profiles. So this is a rather simple description of what this Metaverse model. You have to have a mental model in what you do. So this is the real world, and in the real world we have two environments. Each environment contains humans, objects, devices. So through the devices, objects and model communicate with the Metaverse server, and the Metaverse server uses the data to create something that we call a Metaverse instance that contains Metaverse environments. What is important to see here is that we have this user thing that corresponds, say, to this human here, but this user can be instantiated either as an avatar that is moves in accordance to what this human one moves, and it can also be an avatar that is animated by an autonomous agent. And then we have services that are needed all over the place. So what are the basic elements? So this is going to be a little hard, but we have to give some foundations. So if you are a human and you wanted to join a Metaverse instance, typically you will be asked to register and provide some of your user data. Then you have users. Users is not you. User is a process that represents you, and it does that as a persona, an avatar that is embedded and animated by a stream or animated by an autonomous agent. You will see this MM and UM and MU. This means simply that embedded means that it is happening in the Metaverse. UM means that it's something that comes from the real world up to the Metaverse, and MU is the opposite. So if you are in the Metaverse, I mean, you're a user in the Metaverse, it should comply with the rules that express the terms and conditions under which a user exists and operates. Then the user will exercise rights, and these rights express the ability to perform an action, which is an operation performed on an item. And I will say more about this. And then we have services, as I said, but we also have a device, like we have shown here. So here's the device that has actuators and sensors. Actuators, it means, say, if a loudspeaker is an actuator, a sensor is a microphone. Okay, so let's see what we have done in defining the actions. So an action is a function whose executed is requested on an item. The point is that you have your user. That user is a process, say, receiving data from you, but it cannot do everything by itself. It has to ask, say, another service, or it can be asked another user, or it can ask a device to help it achieve a certain goal. So, for instance, you have your user that meets another avatar, and the avatar says that it is, say, Ed, and you want to be sure that it is indeed Ed. So this is an action which is authenticate avatar that is provided, and we have defined all that is needed at this point in time. Then you have, for instance, interpret. It means that you are seeing something and you want to have help about what this something is. For instance, you are meeting Ed, and Ed speaks English. I only speak Italian, and therefore the avatar can, the metaverse can help me get an Italian version of what Ed says. So that is the meaning of the action interpret. Then we have the action of animating. We have the action of, say, embedding. Embedding means that you have your own avatar and you wanted to embed it in a particular place. And from that moment, your avatar is visible to everybody. So you will see that there are, at the moment, 35 functions that we have identified. By all means, this is not the end point, but it's quite a significant point of arrival. As I said before, MM refers to actions performed in the metaverse, MU, action performed from the metaverse to the real world, and UM, action performed from the real world to the metaverse. So, as I said, an action can typically be performed, is typically performed by another entity, a service or a device or another process or another user. So here is the format whereby your user can ask the target, the destination, to perform something. And so this is a usual payload of a protocol, the request part of it, where you have the source, the destination, what you want to be done, what the data you're giving in, where the data are. Can be in a server, or can be at a particular point in the metaverse, what is expected to come out, where it will be placed, and what will be the right to that the user will have to act on this out item. Then, like in all protocols where you are requesting an action, there's a response format. The response format can be convey the fact that it was successful or there was an error, and here you have a list of potential errors. Then we said they are items. So I do action on items. So what are these items? Well, for instance, asset. Asset is quite an important item because we say that an asset is something that can be transacted. So what are the features of an asset? I say more in detail. An event. What is an event? Okay, an event is what happens in a certain point in the metaverse from time t1 to time t2. That's an event. It can be something important. It can become that has that becomes an asset because people wanted to have access to that event. A personal profile, for instance, is another important point. Provenance. Provenance is the collection of all transactions that have been done on a particular item, moving from one user to another user. And so let me see how we define them. So here we have a strong disclaimer in the document where we say that we do not specify the data formats, but we do specify the metadata, which are necessary for what I'm going to say now. So a third entity is the data types. So for instance, an address on a server, the amount, what is expressed as an amount in, say, in ethers. Cognitive state is something that Marina alluded to, which is you wanted to know what is the cognitive state of an avatar. And so there are a few of them. And then, so we have tested the methodology in 7 use cases. This is a simple one, but it's quite, I mean, the mechanism that we have put together seems to work. This is a simple one. We have more complex one. So this is the virtual lecture use case. So here you have the manager of the school that creates a virtual room, embeds the virtual room at a particular place in the metaverse. Then we have another student that creates its own avatar. Then track is a complex action that includes, in the sense that it includes many actions. Then it transacts value. It means it pays for attending the lecture. Then it embeds its avatar somewhere in the metaverse. The manager authenticates the persona. Then, because it has been embedded in the classroom, the user decides that it can remove the persona that was already displayed in, say, in the usual place of work. And then part of the transaction was the possibility to store the experience, which is one step further compared to the event. It is what you really feel. So you can store it, so then you can have the same experience from in the future. Okay, so this can continue, but I will stop in the interest of time. But what is important to say is that we have applied this methodology for 7 use cases. One is, for instance, where you have a professor, a teacher, and the student virtually dancing, and they can do that because their avatar have haptic capabilities. So this is where almost the conclusion of what we have achieved. We have defined 4 profiles. You see them here. We have the baseline profile, which is what I like to say. This is the hangout profile. It's something where you don't have any, for instance, you cannot authenticate. You don't pay, you don't register. It is something where really you go there and you enjoy. Management profile includes all the things that have been left out in terms of management. That is the reason why we give it that name. Then we have a separate profile that we call finance profile. And it is because we want to allow people, without all sophistication of avatars moving around, just to trade NFTs. And finally, we have the high profile that includes everything. The 2 words about the baseline profile. So we give the possibility to author an entity, which is, say, can author an avatar, but you can author a room. Then you have the possibility to embed an object at a particular location so that the object can be seen. Track is a complex action in the sense that you embed your avatar, you sense the movement of the human, you animate the avatar, and you send the information back to the human so that the human can see. And finally, remove an object. That's because, I mean, if you are at some place, if you want, you can also be at another place. But typically, you want to remove yourself from the original place. So what are the next steps? Something that I have said before at the beginning. So we wanted to have this technical specification called architecture. Then the data type functional requirements, the table of content of metaverse technology specification, the table of content, not the specification, and the table of content of metaverse specification that includes our MPAI technologies. With that, we look forward to your participation in this exciting project. It is exciting indeed. Remember, the motto of MPAI is join MPAI, share the fun, build the future, and here we are.